Hello, friends, and welcome to another episode of Dark Side of the Word, a dark podcast for all our dark story lovers. My name is Kait. I did not forget this time, and I am here with. Thank you. I am here with the best adjective I could ever come up with. If you listened to last week's episode, I was psychic in making this adjective to selection. Okay, friends, I am here with my big-hearted co-host CJ.
Oh, I like that one. Thank you. Hello, everybody.
So we may be some of the biggest horror readers. We love our horror movies. Yes. We love all this stuff. But we are some of the happiest, big-hearted people. You want to know, watch the last episode. We just went into all the ways that we are happy and how happy actually makes us more of creative people.
I'm only happy when it rains. See, that's a good theme song for us. But we're happy and there's darkness. And it's all good.
Maybe all the dark content controls our psychotic brains so that we can exude happiness.
That's true. We just get it all out through reading and writing, and then the rest of the time, we're just happy people. We're happy, normal people.
And I will throw out the word of the day. Our appearance and our interests are incongruous with our attitude.
Yes, and it's funny you should mention that word because that is an adjective I was going to use or will be using later to describe something. So, yes, that is the word of the day.
I have prepped our listeners
you
for
are psychic. Oh my god.
Oh my god. There we go. Okay.
You are psychic. I love it.
All right, friends, it is our content recap episode, so we can tell you guys what is worth reading or watching lately, what we liked, what we didn't like, help guide you through all the content that's out in this world, because I'm not going to get through it all, and I don't know who is, so if you do, let me know, comment below. But we will start with books, and as usual, CJ will go first. I'm too tired to get
through it all. I can barely get through what I can get. Okay, so I have one book to talk about today, but it is a doozy. So the book I want to talk to you about and recommend is called Brain on Fire, and it is by Susanna Cahalan. I want to say Callahan because it looks like that, but it's Cahalan. So Brain on Fire is a memoir of sorts about a woman who experiences a month of, there's no other way to put this, but batshit crazy. Like one day she's living her normal life, good job, nice apartment, nice new boyfriend, and the next thing she knows, she is exhausted, feeling feverish, she's losing time, she's hallucinating, having paranoid delusions, violent mood swings, and finally she just ends up blacking out and wakes up a month later in a hospital room. Now, if you were like me and you were a big fan of exorcism movies, like The Exorcism of Emily Rose, right away you're like, this chick's possessed. She's fucking possessed. Or she's having a mental breakdown and needs to be in a psych ward. Except she is not either of these things. She's having a real medical, biological issue that no one seems to be able to diagnose. If that isn't horror, honestly, I don't know what is. So
it's real.
It turns out, and this is not a spoiler, that she...
I was saying, this is a real, true story. Like, this is, yeah.
Yeah, true story. True story. And it turns out that she suffers from an autoimmune disease. And it's one that is diagnosed more frequently now in 2024, thanks to this woman's book that she wrote about her experiences. But back in, I think it was 2009, when she was first experiencing symptoms, it was extremely rare, which is why it took forever to diagnose. And this book talks about how she and her family and her friends dealt with it. And it's a memoir of sorts because the author doesn't actually remember most of what she went through. That entire month where she was really in the thick of it, she was just unconscious. She remembers the very beginning when she first had symptoms and then coming out of it. So she puts together her story based on eyewitness accounts from friends and family, journal entries from her parents, medical diary entries, and I think there's even a video of her when she was in a catatonic state that she has no memory of being in, but there it is on video. And she's like, watching myself look at that is just crazy. So it is an incredible story and one you really have to read to believe. The writing is great, even though the author is a journalist. It doesn't read dry. It's very engaging and you really feel like you're in the moment. It also raises a lot of excellent and annoying points about the many failures of U.S. medical system and healthcare and how many people are misdiagnosed with mental illness when they really have something that is biological. And if you're into demon possession stories like I am, it is just fascinating because the symptoms the author displays during her illness when it's flaring are exactly the same as those displayed by possession victims. And people now apparently think that this disease can be attributed to what was thought to be demonic possessions back in the day. And that is just mind-boggling to me. So
That's
read this book
crazy.
if you like demon possessions, if you like medical mysteries and mysterious illnesses, like in House, that show House that was out a long time ago. This is the book for you.
I believe in 2016 they also came out with a movie. I haven't seen the movie, so I don't know how good it is.
Yes.
But there's a movie too.
Did. People in my book group said that the movie was really good. I think some of them watched the movie first and then wanted to read the book, but they said it was really a good movie to watch. So I don't know if I'm quite ready to see it, like, in the flesh, because it was pretty terrifying reading some of this. So yeah, I might skip the movie. I'm not sure, but I think it has Chloe Grace Moretz in it, so it's a good actress.
I think so. I don't know her name, but she's very familiar to me. I actually also read this book like forever ago. It was very scary for me because at the time I was trying to figure out what was wrong with me. So when you don't know, and they're throwing a ton of autoimmune disorders at you, and then you read this book, and you're just like, what the fuck? What if I have this? And thank God I don't. And we are now down a path where we think we know what it is. But yeah, I love that the book's making a comeback, because I feel like I read that like 6 years ago or something. It was a while ago. I feel like when I first moved to Seattle.
2012, so it's definitely an older book. And I feel like if you are a person who you have a cough and you're like, oh my God, and you start immediately Googling your symptoms on WebMD, and you do that before you talk to a doctor, don't read this book, because it will not help you at all.
Me, I just assumed I would have
I'm not
cancer.
that person. I go to the doctor first, and then I start panicking. But yeah.
Not me, but I luckily have a doctor now who's like, did you do the research already?
Like, there you go. Okay.
Wow.
Should I not do the research? Do I really want to do self-harm here? Yeah.
No, but I agree. I think that's a great choice for our dark readers. So
that was my book.
Yes. Perfect.
Yes, I think it goes with some nice nonfiction darkness.
To update everyone on me, I am now, just to keep everyone abreast, I am at 81 books read so far this year.
Holy crap. I'm on like 22. Oh my gosh.
This may be the first time I reach 200, and I'm kind of excited, and I kind of want to do it.
You should do it. Go for it.
So, yes, it was very hard to choose my books to talk about today. I did whittle it down to 3 books. And also, if you want to keep more track on everything I've been reading, I've been posting my reviews on YouTube, Dark Side of the Word YouTube as well. So you can get some more either in-depths for the ones I'm talking about today, or to see the other books that I started covering, because I can't talk about them all here. It's too many. But I first wanted to talk about a One Dark Window.
We have like a 2.5-hour podcast.
Yes, for real. But I wanted to start talking about One Dark Window by Rachel Gillig, and I hopefully didn't butcher her name. I also have this reviewed on YouTube, but I thought that it should definitely be brought up here, because if you like dark fantasy, or you're a dark reader who wants to delve more into a fantastical world, this is the book for you. It is a duology. It's not too much to step into. The second book, which I never say this, okay? The second book is phenomenal. Phenomenal.
Really? That is so rare.
I loved it way more than the first book. Like, the first book, I loved the first half. Then we kind of got to the middle, and I was just not liking the protagonist. And I was like, okay, all right, we're losing it. And then a thing happens at the end that I've seen in a lot of fantasy books lately, and I'm just like, ugh, I'm over this trope and this plot line. Like, I'm over it. So I was like, all right, well, it's a slightly different, so I'm going to read book 2, because why not? And then I'm so glad I gave it a chance, because it got 5 stars. Book 2 got 5 stars. Okay?
Wow.
Yes, I loved it. So if you like interesting magic systems, if you like romance, this has really great romance plot in it. I wouldn't call it a romantasy, but it's perfectly placed romance in it. You like darkness, you like, I don't know, a lot of things. Anyway, give it a try. I think it's amazing. I'm really excited. I think the first book came out in 2022 and the second book came out in 2023. So roughly newish. I'm guaranteed to read her next whatever she writes, because I'm kind of obsessed. The writing's great. I loved it. That's why I had to shout it on here.
That's awesome when you can find out an author you love that you're just like, I just want to read whatever they write next. Just give me more. That's awesome.
I don't need more authors on that list, though. I really don't. I also found out that one of my favorite authors, who I love talking to, I'm pretty sure just sold her book, and it is a, what did she say? She said horror. Now I'm trying to think what the other word was. It was something horror. So I think we should definitely read her when it comes out. Because she put horror as a genre.
Okay. What's the author? Do I know her?
Sarah Nicole Lemon. It's the one I talk about all the time. Because I'm obsessed with her.
Oh, okay. No, I don't know her, but yay for her. That's awesome.
Yeah, so I'm really excited.
Her horror book, definitely.
All right, so the second thing I want to talk to is more of a series. I started the Muderbot series. I am not reviewing these on YouTube because the books are actually, I have one right here, so I'll show you. They are teeny, tiny, like 150 little pages. Like, little. I read this in a day. Okay.
Cute little book.
My reviews for that would overwhelm me, so I'm not reviewing them. But if you are a sci-fi reader who wants a little bit of a comedic horror, like not horror, but comedic darkness, I think that this series is a lot of fun. I've seen friends recommend it for people who want to get into sci-fi, and I do not agree with it. This is a hardcore sci-fi book. CJ, do not read it.
I was going to say, not for me. Not for me.
She's half human, half robot.
Oh, God. That is... I cannot.
But leaning more towards robot.
Oh, so that's great news.
She just has some organic parts. So, do not read this. This is CJ's horror book. No. This is her worst nightmare.
I have enough problems sleeping as it is. I don't need any help.
Especially when you find out that she, murdered a bunch of people. Because someone overrode her code. Anyways.
Because her robot tendencies made her do it.
Yes. But she also likes reality television like the rest of us.
Did she watch 90 Day Fiancé? Because that is the only acceptable one for a robot. I will take.
No, and I'm saying she, but it's really a they. There is no actual sexual orientation. It's just how I've seen her. Sorry, I know I'm probably making a faux pas here, but it's a lot of fun. They're really quick read. I've easily accessed them from my library, but I just thought I'd mention it here because I really love it. It's an older series. I think she has one more book coming out and it's done. There's a lot, but there's little, so it's not a big deal. But yeah, I love The Dark Edge. It's really good storytelling, so recommend it. I've read the first two. I'm about to read the third one. Okay. This is also why I've read 81 books, okay?
Because they're littler books?
Yes.
That's okay. They still count. Books are books.
All right, and then the third book I know CJ will get to weigh in on, but I read The Twisted Ones by T. Kingfisher.
Nice.
And then she's going to stop talking to me because I'm going to tell her I didn't like it.
I'm not sure what there's not to like in this one, because The Twisted Ones was the first T. Kingfisher book that I read, and that is what sucked me into her stuff. I found it more supernatural creepy than sci-fi-y. The Hollow Places seemed more sci-fi-ish to me, and that's why I didn't like it as much. But what didn't you love about The Twisted Ones?
First off, I think I started with the wrong first book, because I started with The Hollow Places.
And you like that type of world too a lot better than I do.
Yes. I thought the Hollow Places was spine-tinglingly scary. I still feel like I have nightmares about it.
Yeah.
I think that it was the whimsical writing. Her writing in the Hollow Places was superb. The characters were superb. But this one, I just, the first half of the book reminded me of the Hollow Places. We had the same kind of whimsical writing. We had the characters getting introduced. We had great internal monologues. We had the lovable, fun dog sidekick and all of it. But then we got to a certain point in the book that I'm not going to say because it's spoilers. If you want the spoiler review, I do have it on YouTube, okay? It's going to be coming out shortly. But there's something that happens, and then she just loses me, and it gets too fantastical for me, and I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. I didn't like it.
See, I found the creatures that are in the book, especially toward the end, to be so terrifying. Those amalgamations of twigs and stones and all that just for some reason completely freaks me out. There's a scene in the book where there's a skull head coming toward a window and she sees it through the window and it looks through the window at her, and I still have nightmares about that scene. That scarred me for life.
Nothing about this book scared me.
Oh, that got to me so bad.
Nothing about this book scared me.
I like this one, but nothing
Nothing
You're
scared
just
me.
a brave little thing, aren't you? Okay.
I was actually...
This one definitely freaked me out.
I was actually recommending this book as, like, someone who doesn't want, like, severe horror and wanted, like, a light horror book because they get scared easily.
What? I would not agree with that. I think there is definitely some creepy ass shit going on. I think what scared me the most is I am always afraid of getting trapped in another world and not being able to find my way back. And that happens in the Hollow Places and in the Twisted Ones. And both of them are equally terrifying. But I guess because that was the first book I read, the Twisted Ones, where that happens, there's this other world that you get opened up to that just completely freaked me out.
Yeah, I got scared in the Hollow Places, and that's another world, but this one, I don't know.
Yeah. I can't say too much more without giving away the ending, so I won't say much more. But, you know, everybody has their own opinion. You're still going to read T. Kingfisher, though? Even though you didn't like this one as much? Yes. Okay, good, because she's fantastic.
Well, I already kind of spoiled that we picked her for August, so I have to read her again.
I'm curious for her other books because there's another one that I read by her and I forget what it's called now. But I didn't love it as much as I loved the other ones. It wasn't as spooky. It had vultures in it, I think it was. And it just wasn't as creepy. And I really wanted to love it. So I want to see what that other series does and how many of hers I actually end up liking.
So I read A House with Good Bones, which is the one you're talking about, and I have that review on YouTube. And I did not like that one either because the internal monologue really broke up the story for me and kind of just ruined the whole thing.
Yeah, I just didn't find it spooky enough. So it's just like, meh. For me, it was not as good as the Twisted Ones and not as terrifying as the Hollow Places, which I also want to call the Hollow Ones because I keep mixing the titles in my head.
However, some of the things I still love about Kingfisher were present, such as her whimsical writing at the beginning, her great characters. I love the neighbors in the book, and I'm going to spoil for everyone just a little bit. The dog is fine. The dog is fine.
Yes. Thank God, because I could not handle that. I almost stopped reading at one point because I'm like, I don't want anything to happen to this dog. And if I stop now, the dog will forever be fine in my head. And that's what matters. But
I know which part you're referring to.
Okay. Yeah. It was a little touch and go.
I also know that I can't trust CJ on animals living or dying because she does not warn me well.
And I think I do. Maybe I've just gotten more immune to it over time. I just don't... Unless it's like a gruesome death. I did warn you about the horses in Schrader's Cord, though.
But you had me watch a miniseries on Netflix where you did not warn me that the ferret died in, like, the first episode.
Ferret? What did you even talk? I don't even remember that. What series was that?
I don't remember, but it was a show about them getting letters. They moved into a house, and they got these letters, and then weird stuff was happening.
Oh, The Watcher. I think that was The Watcher. Yeah, I didn't even remember that the ferret died. Yeah, apparently just slips right by me.
Well, those are all the book recaps for you, friends, so hopefully you can get some really interesting books on your to-be-read list that we don't need to add more normally to our list. I was getting very excited that my to-be-read was about to equal my read, like the mounts, but that has changed drastically, and that's made me very upset. So now we will get to more of our digital content, and as usual, CJ will begin.
All right, that was very ominous sounding. Okay. So I feel like I have not been watching as many movies and series lately. So I am happy today to tell you that I have 3 movies to talk about. So this is like a personal best over the last few months. I know, I'm very excited. All right, so we're going to kick off with the first one, Godzilla -1. So I love monster movies, and my husband and I have watched the Godzilla movies that have come out over the past few years in America. You know, there's lots of destruction and lots of explosions and really very little to think about, which is exactly what I want in a good summer action movie. However, Godzilla -1 is a very different kind of Godzilla movie. It takes place just after World War II in Japan, but before the original Godzilla movie takes place. So it's basically a prequel. And there's action, But there's a lot more emotional drama than just worrying about getting stomped to death by a giant water dinosaur. There are personal stories there about the main characters and barriers they have to overcome that are obvious and emotional. And I think it's much more a movie about the monsters within ourselves than the monster Godzilla itself, one of those kind of things. It kind of reminded me of Jaws, where you get really connected to the story and to the characters, but there's also this great big monster they have to fight. So it's just set in the 40s in Japan with a giant dinosaur instead of a shark. So Godzilla -1, pretty good. But toward the end of the movie, they kind of lost me a little bit because the story became a little ridiculous. And I know we're talking about a Godzilla movie, so we would expect ridiculous. But and then this would bother you, Kate, because I know how you analyze movies. So first of all, we have this great CGI happening with Godzilla in the water, seeing him like swim really fast and watching him fire up his back triangle things. He's going to shoot out like an atomic laser through his mouth. And that's all really fancy. But then when he's walking on land, he is so freaking slow and stiff. It's like he's stomping toward the city at 0.2 miles an hour. And I'm watching this, I'm like, y'all have plenty of time to get out of the monster's way. He is not going to reach Tokyo until nightfall at this rate. It's like watching a plastic toy dinosaur try to move. And it just took me out of the moment because everything, I think they were trying to play homage to the original Godzilla, but it was just so incongruous with all the other updates and changes in this new movie. It just felt completely out of place. Like they could have made him a little bit faster. So that was a pet peeve. And the main plan to defeat Godzilla seems good in theory that they have. And they admit they don't have any better ideas, so that was appreciated. But when you see it play out, it just seems very ineffective and kind of ludicrous that they think human world science laws would apply to a prehistoric sea monster with radioactive powers. I'm just saying. And meanwhile, there's like another secret plan in the works too on how to defeat Godzilla. And that is just so obvious and brilliant that you're like, how did no one else come up with this idea? Why is plan A and B the only one that we're going with? So those things bother me. But overall, an emotional movie, a very dramatically acted movie. I have to say that I did not expect so much wailing and crying and like emotional face acting. But then when we started watching the original Godzilla, and I can kind of see where they were going with that because that's also very dramatic. So yeah, give it a try if you're interested in Godzilla.
Do we get to know why it's -1?
I am glad you asked that because that was bothering me the entire movie. And if you watch the movie, I do not believe that you get to find that out. It doesn't really tell you why. So we looked it up. And apparently Godzilla -1 is supposed to be, I think they explained it where it's right after World War II. Japan is at 0. Like they're decimated, poverty, rebuilding at 0. And then Godzilla comes in and now it's at -1. And I'm like, okay, I can kind of get that. And also, since it's basically a prequel to Godzilla, the -1. And I kind of get it, but I'm also like, what's that saying? If you have to explain the joke, it isn't really funny or very good. I feel like that's with this title. If we have to look it up and explain it, it's not a good title. It would be better if we were like, oh my God, that's why it's called -1, as we were watching the movie. You don't have that moment. So now you all know what Godzilla -1 means. Go into it with that. So the second movie I'm talking about is called Demonic, and I actually watched this movie just last night, so it's still fresh in my head. It is an older movie from 2014. It's from James Wan, I'm not sure, but he did the Conjuring movies and the Insidious movies, which I love. I love his stuff a lot. And it is about a house where a mass murder/suicide was committed in the 1980s by a bunch of kids who were doing a seance there. And then there's also, you flash forward to modern day, and there's a bunch of ghost hunters who are going there to try and get proof of ghosts. And yes, they are doing a seance there as well. So as you can imagine, history ends up repeating itself a little bit. So there's found footage in it, and there's also some non-found footage. What do you call non-found footage? What is just movie, like normal movie?
Movie.
Okay, so there's found footage and movie in there. And it wasn't until halfway through the movie that I realized I had actually watched Demonic before. Yeah, so this happens to me a lot. Even though I keep a list of scary movies that I have watched, I just forget to check the list. And like halfway through, I'm like, this just seems really familiar. But I decided to keep watching because I couldn't remember how it ended. And I actually think I liked it better than the first time I watched it. So I'm glad I watched it again. It was really good. It was a bit slow to start, and there were a couple of cheap jump scares there at first. But then the story really took off, and it got scary. There's good creepy effects and visuals. There's a good twist at the end. And a fun fact is that the actor who plays Scotty from Eurotrip, as in Scotty Doesn't Know, is in the movie. And it was fun to see him again, even though he's a dick in this movie. And that is Demonic. You should watch it if you like good, creepy things.
Well, because you are having an issue keeping track of your movies, I think this is a great time to kind of plug one of my favorite things on the internet. It's called Critiker. I need to hook you up, woman. Yeah. Because you can essentially create a profile and rate movies, see other reviews. It's more a very movie heavy group too. It's not just average viewers all the time. You get a lot of really industry people on there. But it keeps track of everything. So if you search a movie, it'll tell you what you saw and what you rated it. But once you get enough movies on there, I have about 530 movies on there now. It gives you a predicted score. And now that I have this many movies, the predicted score is within 5 points of what I was going to rate it. Because I try not to look at the predicted score before I watch a movie. And then I'll be like, okay, this is what I think I'm going to rate it. And then I'll go look, and it's either spot on or just 5 points off. I mean, there's been a couple, the idea of you which I just saw, it was you're going to give it a really low rating, in the 40s. And I really gave it a really high rating. So sometimes it's off because yeah, and then you have the friends are called crumples, and you can see your percentage of how close you are to each one. It's a lot of fun. I love it. But you can put the movie in without having to look at a list, and you can see if you've watched it.
But I still have to remember to look at the list and the program before I watch the movie. My problem is ooh, that looks like a good scary cover. I'm I'll watch it. I should just check my list beforehand.
So you don't want to be me where I have, I track movies on, 4 different things.
Yeah. But I also don't want to be me where I have... There's this one movie. I don't even know what it's called. This is how bad I am. I don't know what the movie's called. The girl wears a red hoodie a lot of the time. And I have started that movie 4 different times. I finished it once. But I think it looks so... The description looks so good. The cover image is so compelling. I'm oh, this sounds like a great movie. And then 20 minutes in, I'll be wait a minute. We've done this before.
Yeah, I track on... Whoops. I track on Critiker, I track on IMDb, I track on Letterboxd, and then I track on my own Excel sheet.
Oh my, that is a little above and beyond what I am prepared to do. So I will just keep watching the same movie over and over again.
They all have their uses, though.
I guess so. I mean, my little Word document is helpful when I remember to look at it. It's just the remembering to look at it, and I don't remember much these days.
So Critiker is for my finding my predicted score. IMDb is for keeping track of the things I want to see because it just has better interfaces with actors and moving around and better user interface. Letterboxd is for my actual industry reviews and industry people and to get the take on the movies and to really hilarious reviews for movies. Really funny.
I love reading those.
And then my Excel sheet is just to see how much progress I've made on all the content I've consumed. Because I keep track of a bunch of stuff, not just movies.
Maybe. Okay, probably not. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to do it. But, listeners, you should do it. And tell Kait what you think about it. Because I'm not going to.
I will include a link in the show notes for anyone who's interested to be a nerd like me.
Okay, so my last movie is the one I have saved best for last because I watched The Exorcist Believer. And this movie was so freaking good. If you are a fan of demonic possession movies, you're going to want to see this one. It is a great updated version of the classic story. So I know The Exorcist, the original from the 70s, has had a lot of sequels and spin-offs over the years. I've only ever seen the original Exorcist with Linda Blair. I know there was a 2 and 3, but I never bothered. But this version is definitely one that I think will live up to the quality of the original. And there are parts to it that have been changed that really stood out to me. And some of them are that there's 2 possession victims instead of just 1. So there are 2 13-year-old girls who disappear one day after doing a seance in the woods. I don't know why these people keep doing seances because nothing good ever happens after you do a seance. But anyway, they reappear 3 days later, not knowing how long they've been gone or what happened to them. And of course, they come back a little different. these two girls are creepy AF. Like, they scared the shit out of me. Creepy children in general are bad, but these two actors really did a good job of just seeming very possessed and adult, and their makeup and hair really contributed to it too, without being over the top. I've seen a lot of demonic possession movies that just go way overboard with trying to make it look creepy, and this stayed true to the original Exorcist, where there's definitely their face is contorted, but it's not gory. It's not violently so. So that was excellent. And the girls start to mirror each other with their creepy behavior, and eventually they're brought together and just all hell explodes. And it's fantastic. Another thing I liked about it is that right away, you know, you're dealing with demonic possession. In the original Exorcist, there's some back and forth about a possible medical issue with the possessed child, or like a psychological issue, not with Believer. They right away, the girls and the parents of one of the possessed girls are right, like, it's a possession. Of course, it's the family who's like super Bible thumper Christian, but still, I appreciate the fact that they were like, it's a supernatural thing. We didn't have to wade through the pretense of that it might be something else going on, because I hate that. It bothers the crap out of me. It's just a possession. Just accept it. And then finally, there is a blending of old world ideas and Christianity help save the girls. So the Bible thumper parents bring in the priest, and then there's a practitioner of root magic that comes in to work with the priest, and together they defeat the demon. So it puts a really good contemporary twist on the idea of exorcism blending the cultures and ideas. So I highly recommend The Exorcist Believer. It is fantastic. It gives me good chills. And of course, after watching it, after reading Brain on Fire, I was like, okay, are they really possessed? Do they have this rare brain disease? What is actually going on? I feel like that's going to happen to me with every demonic possession movie I watch now. But still, give it a shot.
Have you watched The Nun?
I started to, and I didn't like it, so I stopped.
Also, I'm going to call you out.
One as much.
I'm gonna call you out.
Okay.
I feel like you talked about this. I feel like you talked about this movie already.
So I have not watched this one already. So I could not have discussed it already.
Okay, I believe you.
It just came out in 2022, and I've wanted to see it, and I have not seen it before. But many possession movies are very similar. So, it was The Exorcists.
Yes. Okay.
That was last month, I guess, maybe the month before that, but that was The Exorcists, plural, and not a continuation of The Exorcist, because the woman who plays the mom in The Exorcist, she is in this movie.
Oh, okay. That's cool.
Yeah, and she has a smaller role, but it's a good twist, and Linda Blair is in it as well. I won't share in what capacity, but she is in it. So it definitely loops back to the original in a very good way.
This is not a thing I can watch.
I don't think you should watch this. I actually thought that while I was watching it. I'm like, Kate cannot watch this. You will not be able to handle it. My husband was in the room with me. He was playing his video game, but he'll tend to like look up as he's playing to see what's going on. I'm like, do not look. The exorcism is starting. Just look away from here on. Because I'm like, you won't be able to handle that shit.
I love that. That's hilarious.
All right, what are your movies?
Well, to update everyone very quickly on the shows I'm watching, I finally did finish Angel. It wasn't worth the last season. Should just stopped it.
I won't watch it then.
I'm watching Grimm. So,
Grimm.
I have recommended that to CJ since she likes her little monster stuff. It's very monster heavy, so I think it would be a really good show for her.
Whenever I hear the name Grimm now, I am obsessed with this YouTuber and Instagrammer who lives in Svalbard, which is an island close to the North Pole. That's what she said in her podcast. And they have a dog named Grimm who is the cutest, fluffiest lapphund ever, and I love him, and his name is Grimm, so that is exactly... I just pictured a show featuring that dog when you mentioned that you were watching Grimm. And I got so happy and then so sad that it doesn't exist.
That's such a cute dog name.
I know, and they made him a song. He has a little theme song, and it is probably the best theme song I have ever heard in my entire life. I'm not even kidding. It's fantastic. You have to look it up.
I'm going to have to do this because now I'm like, should I name my next dog Grimm?
Yeah, super cute. Only if he looks like this little dog, because he's adorable. I love this. He also is the colors of my cat, so that may be why I like him so much. But he's super cute.
Well, I have 3 movies to discuss because I'm the content queen and I can't stop.
Yes.
The first movie I'm going to talk about is Leave the World Behind, and it is on Netflix. I think it came out earlier this year or the very end of last year. But essentially, it's about a family who decided to spontaneously rent an Airbnb, and it just happens to be when the world collapses.
Oh, that's bad luck. They're not getting a refund on that.
Yes and no. As you watch the movie, it was probably the thing that saved their life. It has an interesting twist where the owners of the home magically appear at the very beginning of the movie, and they're like, hey, can we stay here?
That's odd.
So, I really appreciated the cinematography in the movie. I was really, really invested in this movie at the beginning. I thought that, we haven't seen, and I blanked her name, Julia Roberts. There we go. We haven't seen Julia Roberts in too long, so she was just a fun actress to see again on the screen. I thought it was well cast. It was very spooky. It was very dark. It dragged me in. I was like, here's like an apocalypse movie of like we haven't had in a while. And then we get to the end of the movie, and there is no end. Like, there's no actual end to this movie. It just ends. We don't know what happened. We're given an idea. We don't know if they're going to survive. Well, I guess we do know that they're going to survive in the end. It just, the whole point, like, what's going on? Answers, there's no answer. Questions answered. And it ultimately just becomes an entire movie about a little girl who wants to finish the last episode of Friends.
Oh. That's a little lackluster.
Yes, why are we showing, like, Gen Z people obsessed with Friends? Like, I know it's getting a renaissance, but we put it in a movie?
Interesting. What's this movie called again?
Leave the World Behind.
Leave the World Behind. Okay.
I was really excited. It was definitely up my alley. It had all the things that I love, but honestly, it was just pointless. Like, I got nothing out of it. There wasn't an arc. There wasn't answers at the end. It was pointless.
Was there at least, like, planet explosion or destruction, like an earthquake or something? No, that's the whole reason I watch these disaster movies.
We don't even know why the world is collapsing.
That's disappointing. Okay,
yeah.
I will not watch it then.
It was just bad event after bad event after bad event with no answers, no conclusion, nothing. And the characters don't even learn anything.
And no earthquakes, no tsunamis, no polar night or something.
So
polar sun, polar day. What is that when there's a nuclear fallout? Nuclear fallout.
So my idea, because at the beginning, I mean, we all know this is an apocalypse movie. Hopefully I'm not spoiling too much. But at the beginning, it turns out that the things that are dying out are more like navigation systems and...
Oh, God, I'd be fucked.
Yeah, there's navigation systems and more of that like satellite type of thing. So my mind, the scientist in me goes, oh, the magnetic polar ends flipped places. So the whole time I'm like, oh, this is the best movie. This is a great idea for an apocalypse movie. We had the magnetic fields flip, and because when they flip, we're going to lose navigation. We're going to have some issues. And I'm like, this is it. Oh my God, this is so cool. Yeah. No.
I feel like, well, that is alarming because I rely on my GPS to get me everywhere because I have the worst sense of direction in the entire world. It would just be like the 1980s before internet, and we had to drive places without actually knowing where to go. So it's scary, but not world-ending type of drama for me.
Well, I thought with the way that they were showing the world ending, that's where my mind went, and to me it worked, but I was wrong. So, okay. And I'm gonna give a slight spoiler, kind of like the dog in the book that I told you about. There's no dog, don't worry, but there's a very gruesome teeth scene.
Oh.
And I would have liked to have been warned because I don't really like horror with teeth. It's the thing I can't handle. And so, yeah, I'm just warning everyone. There's a very gruesome teeth scene where someone's like gets sick and all their teeth just start falling out. It's just, it's not okay.
Oh. I don't love the teeth thing, but my pet peeve, one, we all know ocular trauma, and number two, the fingernails. You remember that scene in Black Swan where she's like tugging at a fingernail? Oh, I can't. It just, no.
I can't be scared of nails because I was a dancer and my toenails are all fucked up, and it has taken 10 years for them to look slightly normal again.
Oh, yeah. See, I couldn't do that. I would just bow out immediately from a dance career, for among other reasons as well. But still, the toenails really is what's going to do it for me.
Yeah, teeth are mine. I can do ocular trauma. Teeth for me, can't do it. Nope.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So, my second movie, which is one that CJ will be able to chime in on because I know she's seen it, but Lisa Frankenstein, which is on Peacock.
Oh, what did you think?
Well, I finally got to watch it. It is quirky. It is, so essentially it is a girl's fantasy guy is brought back from the dead, and she essentially brings him more to life, like Frankenstein. So, like, you know, he gets awakened, and then he's missing body parts, so she helps him get them and brings him back to life in a tanning booth.
I forgot about that part. It is in a tanning booth. A tanning booth gone awry.
So I can see where this is going to be a massive cult classic and have a fan base because it was very Tim Burton-esque.
I kept thinking of Edward Scissorhands when I was watching it. Even though I've never seen Edward Scissorhands, it seemed like that kind of vibe.
What?
I know. I'm not a Tim Burton fan. I really don't like Tim Burton.
Okay, Tim Burton is God in this house, okay?
Sorry. I think Nightmare Before Christmas is one of the most fucked up things I've ever seen.
So we're massive Nightmare Before Christmas fans. We watch it.
So is my husband. He used to try and make me watch it, and I can't do it.
We probably know all the songs.
I do know the songs.
Yeah, so that is very big. My husband's dream is to dress up as the Christmas guy. Wow, I can't believe I'm blanking.
Jack Skellington.
Yeah, Jack Skellington, thank you.
I mean, you be Sally somebody?
Yes, that is his dream, but he won't do it unless he gets the full bald cap, so we haven't done it yet.
Okay. Understandable.
But that is a very big thing in our house, and we watch it every Halloween, and do not tell my husband that.
Okay. If I want to be welcome in your house at some point, I cannot share that bit of information.
So, even with all of that, though, I didn't like it.
You didn't like it?
It was weird and disturbing in a way that I...
Yes.
Do you remember the live-action Cat in the Hat?
I am also not a Dr. Seuss fan. So,
that's fine.
No.
Well, when I saw the previews for that, the vibes I got for that movie are what I felt watching this one.
Okay. Explain.
It's really hard to put my finger on what was wrong, but there was something about the world. It just... cardboard cutout, but in a way that it just... I can't describe it. It's just a feeling, and I didn't like it, and I almost turned it off.
Okay.
Which I don't understand, because it's like a horror thing. I read way worse.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely weird and disturbing. Like, I mean, she's making a boyfriend basically out of dead body parts and reanimating them. To me, that it's creepy. And what eventually happens down the road is even weirder to me. So I get it on that level.
But I wouldn't even say that was the part that was weird. It was the way that she moved in the world, maybe. It's the way that she talked. It's the way that things happened. Though... when she goes to the principal office and then storms out in her tulle dress and just starts screaming outside, that was, like, the best scene in the whole movie.
That outfit was everything. Oh, my God. I love the outfit. Yeah.
I want all of her gothic outfits, thank you.
Yes, me too. Even though I would look awful in them because I do not have the right anything to pull them off. Just, that was just the epitome of fashion for me right there.
Yes. All the clothing, all the set design, superb, superb, superb. Loved it. Yes, the 80s was like the perfect take for that.
Yeah, definitely.
But I don't know, there's just something, and I actually watched it last night, and I was just...
Oh, I'm sorry, that's not for you.
Oh, no. I'm a Cole Sprouse stan, so I was going to watch it whether or not. Like, I know you thought he was cute at the end, so...
He definitely grew. Once he didn't look so dead, he definitely looked a little bit better.
And I'll make the funny joke about him not making saying a single line the entire thing until the very end when he reads the book.
Yeah.
So I thought that was funny.
Yeah. I liked watching it. I'm glad I watched it, but I don't think I'm ever going to watch it again. It was good. It was campy. It was darkly funny. I liked the dark sense of humor, but for me, it's not going to be a cult classic because I'm just like, okay, I saw it. I'm good.
And the last movie I want to talk about is called Dream Scenario. It's a movie by A24, and I'm very much reaching into the fringes of movies here, but I think this will fit with our audience, and that's why I picked it out of the long list of things that I have seen over the last few days. It is on Max. It is about a guy who just happens to be Nicolas Cage, played by Nicolas Cage, who is showing up in people's dreams.
Oh. In a creepy way or a good way?
Well, so at the beginning, everyone's kind of obsessed when, he's showing up in their dreams and they find out who he is. And then they're like, oh my God, you were in my dream last night. It was such a great dream. I mean, some people were having sex dreams. Some people were just like, they would have a nightmare. The ladies who used
to watch Moonstruck back in the day? Because he was quite dreamy in Moonstruck.
Oh, I don't know this.
Yeah. Okay. Moving on.
So some people would be like having a nightmare and he would just kind of like show up and walk by. He wasn't interacting with the people in their dreams at all. And he's a professor. And so when his notoriety got out that he was this thing, he shot to stardom. And they're all like, this is the dream guy. I mean, he was showing up in all around the world for people. And then the movie takes a twist and we go down another alley and you can just kind of like use your imagination or watch the movie to see what happens. I thought it was a really cool idea, and my problem was I wanted more. I wanted, why is this happening? I think it was a very great social experiment and thought experiment into the idea of what if a living person constantly showed up in people's dreams and what would happen. But there was a point in the movie where a person tries to live out their sexual fantasy with him, and from then on it was just a very disturbing movie that kind of like Leave the World Behind, where it was just I needed more out of it.
That is disappointing because I've never heard of this until now, but that premise sounds really awesome. I like that idea a lot. I think you should take that idea and make a new version of it because it sounds like you would have a better idea of what to do with the second half of that movie.
Maybe I can think about that, but unlike Leave the World Behind, I actually was happy I saw this, and I felt fulfilled in watching it to where I was like, I would recommend it to people because I still think it was good. But it needed more at the end. I mean, it's a very Nicolas Cage movie. We all know he loves his, B movies. And I think that there was a rumor going around he was going to retire after this one, but we all know that never happened.
Yeah.
But it has a dark twist to it. It's a lot of fun. The beginning starts out really jump scares, so just be warned. But yeah.
Any ocular trauma?
No.
Okay, that's good.
I don't think that. I mean, there's a little bit of blood and guts because people's dreams get weird, but I don't think there's ocular trauma.
I feel like you were just telling me about another Nicolas Cage movie.
Renfield.
Is that a new one too?
Mm-hmm.
Wow, he's doing a lot lately.
He does 3 movies a year, right?
Does he? I haven't seen a Nicolas Cage movie in a very long time.
There are a lot of B movies.
Oh, okay. He owns that. I don't know if he still owns it, but he owned that haunted house in New Orleans, the Lurie Mansion or whatever.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's really. I think it was owned by a plantation type person, and it was horrible to the slaves, and the ghosts of a lot of things are trapped there because it's just. Oh, I think there was a lot of voodoo there too, so it's exceptionally haunted, and I think he bought it at some point for an obscene amount of money. And I don't know if he still has it or not, but I remember that on the tour.
Okay.
So he's a little odd. That would have deterred me, that history about the house, but did not deter Nicolas Cage.
Yeah, so he's in a lot of movies. He did a Lovecraft movie that was really weird that I did end up watching. But yeah, he's in a lot of movies. Just look him up. I swear, 3 movies a year. He hasn't stopped.
I feel like the last movie I saw him in was probably Face Off. Which was a very long time ago.
Well, I want to say 2 years ago, maybe 3, he was in the movie that he was playing himself, where he played Nicolas Cage getting asked to do a birthday party or whatever, and then he turns into a spy. That is actually really good. It was hilarious.
Really? What's the name of it?
I'm gonna look it up offline.
Okay, yeah, send it to me because I'm kind of curious now.
Yeah, it was really good.
Okay.
Well, friends, that is our content. Hopefully we've given you something to inspire to watch or read now, or at least steered you out of the bad stuff. But yes, so don't forget the book club book this month is My Darling Dreadful Thing, which I have right here. And it is by Joanna Von V. and use our bookshop affiliate links below to buy a copy if you don't have one yet. And thank you so much for listening to Dark Side of the Word, a podcast for all the dark story lovers. If you're watching this on YouTube, please subscribe and give the video a thumbs up. We're also a audio-only podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and iHeart. And make sure to check out our specific polls and questions on Spotify. And thank you so much, friends. Please leave a nice comment about how much you think we're glorious. Otherwise, have a great day. Bye.
Bye.